Neptune in Aries. Dear friends, on January 26, 2026, something remarkable happens. Something that only comes around once in a generation. On that day, the planet Neptune makes its final move into the sign of Aries, and it will remain there for a very long time, all the way until 2039. When we talk about slow-moving planets, we're talking about forces that shape entire eras. Neptune is exactly that kind of planet. It moves slowly, almost invisibly, but what it sets in motion runs deep, and its effects last for generations. In astrology, Neptune represents the collective unconscious. That vast, invisible ocean of ideas, emotions, and experiences that we all share as humanity. In mythology, we know it as Poseidon, the ruler of all the waters on Earth. A force that governs the oceans, the depths, and the mysteries hidden beneath the surface. When Neptune is in its natural home, in Pisces, its energy feels like an endless sea. Deep, quiet, and a little mysterious. But when that enormous watery force enters the fiery sign of Aries, something begins to shift. The water is no longer still. It starts to heat up, to churn, to move. Aries, in astrology, represents the very first impulse of life. The first step. The first spark that sets everything else in motion. It symbolizes the moment when stillness becomes action. And so, Neptune's move into Aries is far more than just a transit. It's a symbolic moment when everything that has been quietly ripening in the depths of our collective unconscious begins to rise to the surface. The border between Pisces and Aries has always been considered a special place in the zodiac. It's the point where one cycle ends and a new one begins. Like a doorway between the old world and the new. When Neptune passes through that doorway, humanity steps into a completely new phase of development. But what rises from those deep waters isn't always just light. From the depths of our collective unconscious can also emerge our passions, our fears, our suppressed desires, and our inner shadows. And that is exactly where the energy of Aries steps in. Aries is ruled by Mars. And Mars, in astrology, represents action, drive, willpower, and the courage to make things happen. Neptune gives Mars vision and inspiration, but how we channel that energy is entirely up to us. In the years ahead, many people will feel a powerful urge to follow an idea, to start something new, to stand up and fight for what they believe in. But every inspiration also carries responsibility. That energy can be creative, or it can be destructive. That is why it matters deeply what ideas we allow to guide us. What makes this especially significant is that Saturn enters Aries at almost the same time. Saturn, the planet of structure, law, and reality, moves into this sign on February 14, 2026. And with that begins a period where Neptune's visions and dreams will meet Saturn's demand to become real, concrete structures. Whenever these two planets come into close interaction, the world enters a time of major transformation. In the coming years, we may see this across many areas of life. Medicine, for example, could take a remarkable technological leap. Ideas and methods that today seem experimental may become part of everyday medical practice. Neptune also symbolizes anesthesia. So it's entirely possible that completely new techniques could emerge, ones that change how medical procedures are performed altogether. History also tells us that Neptune transiting through Aries often brings powerful new symbols and ideas that reshape society. The Red Cross symbol, for instance, was born during exactly such a period. So it's very possible that new ideas will emerge now, too, ideas that go on to shape the global world for generations. This transit may also bring waves of reform across many systems, from education and justice to financial and governmental structures. When Aries energy starts moving, it tends to demand new ways of organizing things, new beginnings. But Neptune always brings an element of the unexpected. In nature, we may see intensified climate and geological shifts, powerful storms, flooding, disruptions in natural systems. These kinds of changes can also drive the movement of people around the world, since migrations often follow the great historical cycles. And yet, Despite all the challenges this transit carries, it also brings one incredibly important message. Neptune in Aries opens up enormous space for creativity, inspiration, and the courage to turn dreams into reality. This is a time when ideas can spark entire movements. When one person can begin something that eventually changes the world. Neptune inspires. Aries acts. So this is a period when many people will feel a deep need to create, to develop their gifts, and to follow what they feel is their true purpose. Neptune moves very slowly. Its processes don't happen overnight. They unfold gradually, but they leave a mark that lasts for generations. The last time Neptune was in Aries was between 1862 and 1875. That was a period of profound ideological change, new movements, and new ideas that went on to shape the modern world. And now, we are entering a similar historical moment. In the years ahead, many people will feel a growing need to find deeper meaning, to explore spirituality, to connect with something greater than the routines of everyday life. Neptune reminds us that the world is far larger than what our eyes can see. And Aries reminds us that every great journey begins with a single step. And right now, humanity is taking that first step, once again. When we speak of Neptune, we're speaking of a very special kind of energy. Neptune in astrology represents something that goes beyond the everyday, rational world. It is the planet connected to spirituality, inspiration, and dreams, but also to illusions, deceptions, and everything that can pull us beyond the boundaries of ordinary reality. Unlike religion, which has its rules, its dogma, and its structure, Neptune speaks of a universal spirituality, that deep human need to feel connected to something far greater than ourselves, to the universe, to infinity. It's the energy that draws us toward art, intuition, compassion, and toward mystery and the unknown. And that is why, every time Neptune changes signs, it isn't just an astrological event. It is a shift in collective consciousness. A moment when humanity slowly begins to dream differently, to believe differently, to search for meaning and inspiration in new ways. Aries is the beginning of everything. The first sign of the zodiac. The first spark. The first impulse that sets an entire cycle of life in motion. The energy of Aries is direct, brave, and instinctive. It belongs to the pioneers, to those who take the first step, even when they don't know exactly where the path will lead. People often criticize Aries. They say it's impulsive, too fast, not thoughtful enough. But the truth is, without that energy, nothing new would ever begin. Every change, every revolution, every great idea in human history started with exactly that first impulse. That first strike that breaks the old balance and sets something new in motion. Now imagine what it means when a planet like Neptune, the planet of dreams, inspiration, and collective consciousness, enters precisely that sign. It means that in the years ahead, a completely new spiritual paradigm will slowly be born. A new way of understanding what it means to believe, to follow inspiration, to carry a vision. Neptune doesn't move quickly. It works quietly, deeply, and over the long term. Its influence isn't visible right away, but over time, it shapes entire generations. The last time Neptune was in Aries was between 1862 and 1875, a period of great ideological transformation, new movements, and new ideas that later shaped the modern world. And now we are entering a similar cycle, one in which a new collective inspiration will slowly begin to awaken. With Neptune in Aries comes a need for each of us to find our own personal spiritual spark. No longer just following someone else's ideas, systems, and beliefs, but actually starting something new ourselves. This is the energy of the spiritual pioneer. More and more people will want to explore spirituality in their own way, to seek answers outside traditional structures, to develop their intuition, their creativity, their inner vision. Of course, Neptune always carries its shadow side as well. Where there is inspiration, there can also be illusion. Where there are dreams, there can also be delusion. That is why it's important to stay grounded and aware, and to learn to tell the difference between genuine inspiration and pure fantasy. But one thing is certain. With Neptune entering Aries, a completely new chapter of collective consciousness begins. this is the moment when a new vision of the world is born. A new courage to dream of a different future. And a new energy that reminds us of something very important, that every great change always begins with one single step, the first impulse. And that impulse belongs to Aries. Now, let's look at what Neptune means specifically for each sign. Its influence lasts a very long time, so there is truly no need to rush. Over time, we simply adjust to the energy of these slow transits because their effect is gradual and lasting. Aries. For you, Aries, this may mean that spirituality begins to play a much greater role in your life. Be very mindful of any substances that cloud the mind. Stay away from them entirely. Instead, turn your attention toward what is genuinely spiritual and what brings true meaning to your life. Processes connected to religion, film, art, water, and the sea may directly touch your life in this period. You may find yourself drawn to living near water, an ocean, or a lake. You might be pulled towards spiritual travel, meaningful books, or simply an atmosphere of quiet mystery that feels larger than everyday life. This energy can be a very significant force for you, dear Aries. Libra. The sign directly opposite Aries, Libra, will also feel this influence strongly. Through this period until 2039, your relationships will be touched by this energy as well. People you meet may feel mysterious, unusual, a little hard to read. And with these kinds of people, you'll be building connections and partnerships. They may seem slightly enigmatic, but these relationships can be deeply interesting because they encourage you to discover your own hidden potential. Connecting with such people isn't always simple. They can be guarded and mysterious, and they don't reveal themselves easily. They may be deeply sensitive and intuitive. Partnerships formed during these years may carry a spiritual or higher-minded quality. Sometimes, the connection might come through shared interests, technology, creative projects, or very specific themes that bring you together. In these relationships, emotional and intuitive bonding will carry great weight. And yet, that person may always remain somewhat of an enigma to you. Perhaps you'll never fully understand what they truly want, or exactly how they think. There will always be a certain degree of mystery, a kind of ongoing puzzle. Your task is to accept that, to embrace the mystery in the relationships that form during this time. Leo and Sagittarius. On the other hand, two signs will feel this influence in a very favorable way, Leo and Sagittarius. For you, Neptune's transit forms a harmonious flow of energy. This shift in life's paradigm won't frighten you. On the contrary, for Leo and Sagittarius, the changes connected to Neptune and Saturn can open truly wonderful opportunities. The most important thing is not to miss your moment. Recognize the possibilities and openings that are forming around you. Pay special attention to long-term opportunities, ones that are taking shape through this new life paradigm. The energy of Neptune, through spirituality, new encounters, new situations, and a broader perspective on life, can work beautifully and inspirationally for you in the larger picture. Cancer and Capricorn. For Cancer and Capricorn, Neptune's influence will feel a little more challenging. Simply put, you're not planning to shift to a new paradigm, not now and not in the foreseeable future. And yet you will need to keep adapting. You'll find yourselves constantly adjusting your attitude and approach because Neptune's energy doesn't stop. It remains in this sign all the way until 2039. Over time, though, we get used to it. What feels strange or tiring at first eventually becomes normal. It's a bit like living next to a construction site. For years there's noise, constant building, barriers and walls blocking your path. But eventually, you barely notice anymore. It just becomes the background reality of life. Part of your environment. You adapt to it, even if it doesn't naturally match your rhythm. So this doesn't mean something terrible or deeply negative, not at all. It simply means that change isn't your natural comfort zone, and it may feel exhausting at times. But the wall won't disappear. You'll need to find a way around it, or learn to live alongside it. For you, dear Cancer and Capricorn, Neptune's influence works like this. It slowly transforms you, but in a way that requires patience, flexibility, and a gradual, quiet acceptance of this ongoing change in your life's landscape. On March 6th, Venus, the planet of love, emotion, and pleasure, moves into the fiery sign of Aries. We begin to feel this shift around March 5th and 6th. The energy of the space changes suddenly, like an awakening after a long, deep sleep. Things start moving. A desire for action appears. A longing to change your life and look forward. In the previous weeks, Venus was moving through the sign of Pisces. That was a very gentle, emotional, and slightly hazy period. Many people were living in a state of daydreaming and fantasy with heightened sensitivity. Women, in particular, may have felt deeply understanding, compassionate, willing to sacrifice, to wait, to endure. For some, this period brought fatigue, emotional sensitivity, and even a sense of sadness or inner emptiness. With Venus entering Aries, the energy shifts completely. A period of renewal begins, of reclaiming strength and inner awakening. Feminine energy transforms noticeably. Instead of softness and withdrawal, comes decisiveness, courage, and a strong desire for action. Women become more visible, more independent, more willing to take initiative. You could say the energy of the Amazon warrior has awakened. That is why, in this period, it's very important to pay attention to new opportunities that may begin appearing as early as March 5th or 6th. These could be new ideas, a desire to launch a project, interesting business offers, or unexpected new connections. You might meet a woman with strong Aries energy or connect with someone born under this sign. The space itself seems to be urging us toward movement, initiative, and new steps. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. And here, you always feel the energy of a beginning, a desire to open a new chapter in life. During this period, it's especially important to focus on yourself, to value yourself and your own desires. A strong need emerges to invest your time and energy into personal growth, work, or creative endeavors. Many women begin expressing themselves more boldly, launching projects, stepping into leadership, and looking for ways to increase their income. Venus in Aries also strengthens the theme of individuality. Now is the time to discover your talents, to express yourself with courage, to show the world who you truly are, and to stop constantly looking back at the past. This is the time to focus on your own goals and desires. This energy also touches love and relationships in a powerful way. The period becomes more passionate and emotionally alive. A desire for flirtation, romance, and vivid feeling grows stronger. Fast attractions are possible, spontaneous encounters, even whirlwind love stories. Both men and women become more open about what they want and how they feel. At the same time, a desire for a fresh look and a new style grows stronger. Many people begin renewing their wardrobe, choosing brighter colors, changing their image, getting more active, and spending more time outdoors. Spring energy literally awakens the desire to live more fully. Financially, things also start to move. Interest grows in new income streams, fresh earning ideas, and developing your work or business. Many people want to improve their financial situation, to afford more, and to invest in themselves. That said, a tendency towards spontaneous spending and impulsive shopping may also appear. Of course, this energy has its shadow side as well. Venus in Aries can sometimes bring impatience, impulsiveness, or a tendency to react too quickly. That's why it's important to channel this powerful energy into growth, sport, creativity, and new projects, rather than letting it scatter. Overall, the period from March 6th to March 30th carries a strong impulse of renewal. Life begins to accelerate. More activity, more new ideas, more connections and opportunities start to appear. After the gentle and emotional time of Venus in Pisces comes the time of action. It feels like the dawn of a new chapter in life. A desire for love, movement, vivid emotion, and meaningful change begins to stir. And it is exactly that energy that can open new doors and new possibilities for so many people. Aries, this transit will be felt especially strongly by you. Both those with their sun in Aries and those with Aries rising, and anyone with Venus in Aries in their natal chart. For you, this may be a period of renewed personal life, increased attention from others, new attractions, pleasure, and even financial opportunity. Your confidence, energy, and desire to show yourself to the world all grow stronger. Leo and Sagittarius, the other fire signs, will also feel the harmonious support of this energy. Inspiration, creative drive, and a desire for connection, new people, and new relationships may all grow stronger for you. Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, the air signs, will also receive this energy favorably. This period can bring you interesting new connections, easier communication, fresh ideas, romantic sparks, and pleasant opportunities in both your social and personal life.